AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by LouisianaSports.net. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. All right. We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Saints practiced at Ullman last night. They've added a couple of cornerbacks. They got their final preseason game this weekend. Great time to bring on Ross Jackson. Yo, dude, how are you?
Hey, dude, I'm doing great. How are you?
Very well. Okay, 53-man roster projection is up at LouisianaSports.net. What was your most angst-inducing decision?
Man, I got to be honest. I didn't really have one.
Okay, love that.
This roster just felt so easy to project. Now, I'm going to get like 23 things wrong because the Saints are going to make different decisions and everything. But this just felt like such an easy roster to project. Maybe the toughest place where I did a little bit of negotiating was just mostly trying to figure out, wasn't necessarily a specific position, but trying to project how the Saints would handle some of their roster stuff. They've known to be a little stubborn about the idea of using injured reserve slots. And so you're only limited to 8 of those per season. You can use 2 of them right off the bat at roster cuts. Would they really use both of those eligible and 2 of their 8, a quarter of them right out of the gate? That was maybe the hardest part to try to figure out between wide receiver Jordan Tyson, defensive lineman John Ridgway III, as well as running back Devin Neal. Any of those 3 guys, as well as a guy like Cam Jordan potentially could be a candidate for injury reserve, probably Cam Jordan less so, but any of those other 3 guys could be. And so really the toughest part was just figuring out, okay, if you use one of those slots, where do you maybe pick up another player and add another, talented player somewhere that can help out your depth a bit?
Okay. I want to chop through a few other things here. You do have the Saints keeping 5 running backs, including Kendre Miller, Audric Estime, and Devin Neal. Why?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is because I couldn't my thought was you carry 5 in on the initial roster and then potentially move Devin Neal on to injured reserve after that because he's dealing with this hamstring injury. Our understanding over at LouisianaSports.net is that could be an absence that rolls along for a little while as he seek specialist help and things like that, just to make sure that they can address the issues and then be able to move forward from them, because he's had this hamstring kind of recurring over the course of his time here in the NFL when he didn't deal with injuries at all during his collegiate years. So they would like to get that figured out, he and his team. And so with all of that, I figure you have 3 players that you could potentially put on injured reserve, but you only put 2 of them on injured reserve at roster cuts. The other one you'd have to carry into the regular season. I just picked Devin Neal as that player because there's, I guess, a greater chance that they could find out, okay, he might be back sooner rather than later, as opposed to the other guys who feel like those absences are going to be a little bit longer.
Receiver, you have Kevin Austin making the roster, Jordan Tyson on IR. No Bub Means. So what does that tell us about the long-term nature of Bub Means' hamstring?
Yeah, I think it's more so about those guys as contributors. Like we've seen Bub Means get a little bit more involved in the past couple of practices.
Okay.
He's been kind of limited, I'd say, over the course of the last 2 practices since that Rams game. So in a very different way than we've seen some of the other hamstrings impact, because the other guys have had hamstrings and we just don't see them yet. And so like Oscar Delp and Devin Neal, for instance. And so I think Bub Means is probably a little bit further along hamstring wise, but I just think that Kevin Austin Jr. does more on offense in that he can line up at X, he can line up at Z, he can line up in the slot, he can run, he can protect as a run blocker as well as a pass protector. He's just somebody that this team is enthralled with and really, really likes in terms of the kind of do-it-all nature that he brings to the game. And if you're going to make a roster, one of the best ways to make the roster is to be able to do more than one thing. And Kevin Austin Jr. is the guy that consistently checks all the boxes, keeps his head down, and just does what the team asks of him. I think that's going to earn him a roster spot while they figure out the timeline on Jordan Tyson.
Ross, is it common to keep 9 offensive linemen on the final 53?
Yeah, 9 or 10 is usually kind of the way that you want to go. A team like the Saints, who have dealt with a lot of injury, probably would have a conversation about 10 on the offensive line, but I think 9 or 10 is pretty standard.
Defensively, we've talked plenty about the cornerback position. That was my biggest angst coming out of the draft and free agency, was not addressing corner with respect to the 7th-round kid from Iowa who's not going to make the team. Okay, they signed 2 here today. I mean, you don't have them on your 53. Do either of those guys have a shot at making the squad?
I think Michael Davis in particular does. He was a guy that was signed and worked with the team last year. He actually appeared in 11 games for the Saints last season, mostly due to his special teams acumen, and did play some on defense as well. I think he could very easily be a practice squad guy that this team is familiar with, that knows the ropes, knows the system, knows what they want to do both defensively and on special teams. He would be the one that I would watch out for as a guy that could absolutely make it on the practice squad. If he had a longer runway, maybe he could convince them to keep him around on the active roster, but tough to do when you show up and you get one practice and one preseason game to kind of make yourself known. But I think he could certainly be a practice squad option because of their familiarity with him.
He's Ross Jackson at Ross Jackson NOLA. You read him at LouisianaSports.net. Listener watch, Locked On Saints. Make sure you're subscribed. Okay, we obviously have talked a ton here about the place kicker battle, and it was a couple of guys who apparently you don't think are going to make the team because you have Daniel Carlson taking that spot. Why Carlson this late in the process?
Yeah, it just feels like the writing's on the wall there. I think back to last season when it comes to the punter position. The Saints had Matthew Hayball, who was not a success for them in 2024, and so they had brought in some competition for him with former be successful during the course of training
Ross,
camp.
wait, I'm sorry. Your phone went out when you said they brought in you're talking about Hayball. You said brought in competition, and then your phone went out. Can you pick up there?
Oh, gotcha. Yep, they brought in competition from Alabama, the undrafted free agent punter from last year, James Burnap. James Burnap also not very successful throughout the training camp process. And so then they brought in Kai Kroger very, very late in the process. And when they brought him in, it kind of felt like the writing was on the wall of like, oh, okay, well, if you're not going to pick between the 2 punters and you're bringing somebody else in, you're probably going to go with the guy that you brought in. I kind of look at it the same way with Daniel Carlson. Added to that, Daniel Carlson, 8 years of experience, 2 of those being all pro seasons, 1 second team, 1 first team. And you have so much flexibility with how you deal with the Charlie Smith piece of this, because he's probably the kicker on your roster with the most upside, in that he's the most raw prospect with the most promise. But you still want to continue to develop him. You can do so on the practice squad without giving up a practice squad spot, because he would still qualify as an international practice player. So it just feels like you can have a little bit of the best of both worlds in terms of the developmental guy that could eventually turn a corner in Charlie Smith. You're just looking for the consistency from him, and you get the veteran experience from somebody that's maybe a little bit more proven, a little bit more NFL ready, obviously, as an 8-year veteran in Daniel Carlson. So it just feels like the more logical, maybe logistics ready, I should say, maybe not logical, but most like logistics appropriate kind of move to make at this point.
Ross, the Saints are going to play their final preseason game tomorrow, Friday night, against Dallas. It's a 7:00 kick, by the way, for those interested. Who do you think has the most to gain or lose in that game? Is there anything really on the line for these players, or is the hay in the barn?
Yeah, no, I think for a couple of players, there's still a lot to gain. I mean, I think about a guy like Mike Heldman, who came in from Central Michigan and ends up being a player that had a really, really good first preseason game, and then ends up kind of disappearing since then, right? He's kind of fallen out of the spotlight since then. And now is an opportunity to put himself back on the spotlight. Now, he's a guy that a lot of teams might be interested in. It's not like there's a wealth of edge rusher talent around the NFL. And there are some teams, like, for instance, the Seattle Seahawks, who've been making a lot of moves here recently. They're in need of edge rusher help. And so because of that, you kind of are in a position, if you're Mike Heldman, to say, okay, well, I can deliver a performance that makes this team afraid to move on from me, because some other team might actually want to claim me off of waivers and add me to their active roster. So let me go out there and show something so that I can stick around. And he's a guy that has a lot to gain, and he's either got a lot to gain here in New Orleans or a lot to gain elsewhere. And if nothing else, he ends up as a practice squad guy, and that could be helpful too. So I feel like he's got a lot to gain. I feel like guys like Zamir White as well as Daniel Carlson have a lot to gain with being late additions to the team. And I also highlight a guy like defensive tackle Christian Boyd, who, with the question marks around John Ridgway's health and timeline right now, could potentially be the guy that steps in as that fifth defensive tackle in that rotation and potentially earns a role there. He has flashed a lot during the preseason. If he continues to do that in this game up against the Cowboys, he solidifies that opportunity for himself instead of opening the door for maybe like a veteran like Miles Cole. And so I do think that there are some players that truly have some opportunity here in this final preseason game to make some moves for themselves.
Ross Jackson, last thing, you've gotten to see every bit of media availability, practice, and now 2 preseason games with 1 to go. And there have been a lot of injuries. I mean, literally starting with Brian Brzee going down the first day. Has your opinion on the team, the season, whatever your projection was going to be for the Saints, has it changed from day 1 of camp to now?
Not yet. I still think that this is a team, based on the injuries around the division as well and some of the turmoil around the division as well, that can end up winning its division. I think that the biggest test is going to be how quickly they can get some of the pieces back, those that can come back, Alvin Kamara, Jordan Tyson, Cam Jordan, Quincy Riley. I think the biggest test for them is going to be getting those guys back on the field and keeping them on the field so that you're not, there's this whole conversation around, some of these players are probably going to have some recurring injuries all throughout their career. So it's the performance that they give in between. It's the color within the lines that makes the picture beautiful. And so can you get the most out of these players in those scenarios and in that sort of framework? If they can do that, then I think that this is a team that still has the ability to compete. It's an easy enough schedule and an easy enough division that could still walk away with 9 or 10 wins. I might put them closer to the 8-9 win category right now in terms of a projection than I was maybe a 9-10 win projection, but it's all kind of in the same family nonetheless. I think that it's still a team with a lot of potential, or let me say it's a team with a lot of potential in terms of what it can take advantage of. It's just got to be able to take advantage of it. And beyond the injuries, discipline is going to be number one, and that's been a Kellen Moore problem when it comes to this team over the course of the past couple of years. Penalties, pre-snap penalties, things like that. That's going to be the real kind of test for them and their ability to be productive in 2026, not just navigating the injuries. Even with those guys on the field, they still got to be able to be consistent in their execution.
The color between the lines helps paint the beautiful picture. That's why he's the best. I mean, what a poet. What a poet this guy is. He's Ross Jackson. LouisianaSports.net, Locked On Saints. Subscribe, podcast, YouTube, or read him over at LouisianaSports.net. Thanks, dude. We appreciate it.
Thank you, bud. You take care. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. It's After Further Review. Brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the Saints. You're out there at Saints practice. You know what you see. That red and white Rouse's patch there on the practice jerseys. Rouse's, the official supermarket of the Saints, proud partner of the Saints. And look, you got Saints football mañana tomorrow night. You're going to be watching at home. Want to go grab something to throw on the grill? Maybe some seafood. You know, one thing I love to do, you get those steamed crab legs. Erica loves that. Do that sometimes over at Rouse's. That never misses, by the way. Some cold beer, great wine and liquor selection. Going to make your groceries? Remember, get the weekly ad if you're buying on a budget. You just want to save money, support great Louisiana businesses. Rouse's sources locally every chance they get on all Rouse's branded products. So always look for that red R with the circle logo. You'll know it's a Rouse's branded product. And when they can use Louisiana ingredients, they do. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for hanging out with us here on this Thursday edition of AFR. Tomorrow in studio on our first Football Friday. Week 0 gets underway tomorrow. Excited to preview what little games that we will have, but still games nonetheless. We're starting to line up our football lineup of regular guests. We had Russ Mitchell on a day ago. We did confirm, a lot of people have been asking, Sean Salisbury will be with the show again this year on Tuesdays during the season. Phil Steele will be with us on Fridays again this year. So we're really excited about our football lineup and bringing you all that great content throughout the week during football season. So soon enough, we will actually be talking football and not legalities. But the legal proceedings are raging on right now as LSU is still trying to add to its roster. We'll continue. Stick around. It's AFR.
After further review.
Rev Fiber, R-E-V, RevFiber.com, RevFiber.com, the official internet service provider of the LSU Tigers. It's Rev Fiber. But at Rev, it's not just for your home. Yes, Rev certainly can provide be your internet service provider for your home, but also home automation, security, cable, phone, and for your business. At Parish Construction and Roofing, we are Rev Fiber customers. Go to our office, our internet, everything is through Rev. At my house, Eric and I, we are Rev customers. Rev Fiber, the exclusive official internet partner of LSU Athletics. This fall, you're going to see Rev Fiber brand prominently placed inside a Tiger Stadium. When you watch Lane Kiffin's press conference, you see the Mike flag has the Rev Fiber logo, and they got great local athletes as well. Tradez, Deshaun Spears, Bo Bordelon, Richard Anderson, Bryson Martinez, and more. RevFiber.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Oh, it's been a great offseason. Taking every day for what it is and stacking every day. Not taking anything for granted. It's an opportunity every day for an investment in yourself and your team. So, and as far as the connection with Sam, we was both coming back from injuries and all that. So just building that connection off the field before we was able to get together on the field, that was a big part of it for sure.
It's Tre Wilson, Florida transfer, coming into LSU here in his redshirt junior season. Remember, he's a former 5-star, but so he's going to his 4th year of school. His career really has been beset by injuries. As a true freshman at Florida, played in 10 games, 7 starts, caught 61 passes. Y'all, caught, let me see. He caught 61 passes as a freshman. 538 yards, 6 touchdowns. As a sophomore, boom. Injuries hit, plays in just 4 games, caught only 19 balls. This past year at Florida, just played in 8 games due to injury, 27 receptions. I would describe, if I were to give you sort of a descriptive adjective about Tre Wilson, he is sudden. Not telling you something that I've been told. I'm telling you something I've seen from when we can go watch them in spring and the little bit that we got to see here in fall camp. We talk a lot about what makes Tradez Green a matchup problem in this offense, and it's the fact that he's 6'7" and 240 pounds, and he's got great leaping ability and a giant wingspan, and there's just not many defensive backs anywhere that can deal with that. I mean, it's like, Muse will love this. I'm going to give you a wrestling analogy. It's like Andre the Giant. I mean, there were a lot of big, roided up dudes who were 6'3" and 300 pounds. That dude was 7 foot and 500 pounds. Like, what do you do with that? It doesn't matter how big you are. He's a literal giant. Stories about him are legendary, too. Like crushing 47 beers in an hour. I don't know if that's actually one that happened. Is that one that happened? Do you remember any of those? Hulk Hogan told some of those stories.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the beer stories are what's so legendary. Like a barrel of beer, like a whole keg, barrel of beer, like that kind of stuff.
He's like a bear.
Yeah, he was giant, massive.
He's a human that's like a bear. Anyway, but what do you do with that guy? What do you do? Nothing. So that's kind of how it is with Tradez. He's a problem because of how he's built. And like, there's just nothing else like that. If you go watch LSU's receivers, Tre Wilson is similar. He's not big like Tradez, but he has a different skill set. You can just see it. I mean, I can give you 40 times and all that stuff, but that doesn't matter. I don't care about straight line speed, in your underwear on a laser. I just mean like when you're watching a guy run off the line of scrimmage and blow past a cornerback or change direction, you go, oh, nobody else can do that. That's him. So when it comes to Tre Wilson, like I think they're going to put the ball in that guy's hands a lot this year. I don't know that he's going to catch 61 balls like he did as a freshman. I could see a situation where his productivity maybe matches what it was a year ago, which was 27 receptions. Like maybe he catches 30 passes this year. Okay. If he catches 3 balls a game, right around there. Okay. But I think the other way that they get him involved is a lot of like the jet sweeps and the motions and all the creative ways you put the ball in that guy's hands to just, boom, let him be sudden. The return game is going to be interesting as well. We have not gotten to see any special teams at all in fall camp. We did not get to see any special teams at all in fall camp. In the spring, it was returning punts was Jace Brown and Winnie Watkins and Tre Wilson. Now, he is the most explosive, but he also is the guy who could not catch the freaking ball. I mean, there were times in practice where I watched him drop 3 straight punts, and you can't do that job if you can't catch the ball. However, I was told at the scrimmage this past Saturday, like the final scrimmage in fall camp for LSU, that it was Wilson that was running first at punt return. Now, I don't know if that sticks. Again, I have no idea if that sticks. My thought would be it's probably Jace Brown because he's going to go catch the ball. You know, you have to catch the ball first. You can't do that job if you don't catch the ball. So, but that's one worth watching when we talk about Tre Wilson. He also talked about, like he was asked to describe the receiver room. This is what he said.
Yeah, just a bunch of guys going to do what they love every day. And, you know, we done grab guys across the whole country that can go out there and ball, make plays. And, you know, everybody brings their own type of talent and, you know, skill to the team. And, you know, it's going to be a fun show to watch for sure.
I do love how Lane Kiffin built this room. And the thing that keeps echoing in my ear is the comment that our buddy Brooks Austin made at SEC Media Days. He's the film guy on YouTube. And it was a very popular interview. A lot of y'all just reacted very positively to that conversation with Brooks. I thought he did a great job. But one of the things he said in that interview at Media Days was about Lane Kiffin recruiting receivers. It's just like he just knows what he's looking for. I forget exactly how it said. Maybe I actually want to pull that clip if you have it. About like knowing what he was looking for in receivers. He just finds anybody. It's like I think he said old buddy. He said something like old buddy from Hawaii. It's like talking about Jackson Harris. But you look at the receivers, and there's Winnie Watkins, who's 5'10", and there's Roman Mothershed, who's 6'5", and then there's Malik Elzy, who's 6'2", and Tre Wilson, who's 5'11" and can go, and there's Jace Brown, who's 5'11", but more possession, and there's Tre Brown, who's 6'2", and has been battling injury, but actually has Biletnikoff odds, which is weird. And then Braden Allen, who's 6'2" and was a 5-star, and can fly. And Corey Barber, who's 5'11" and was a 5-star. My point is, like, you look up and down that list, and you see some dudes who are sudden, some dudes who are fast, some dudes who are big. There's just a really good dynamic versatility. You have that cut? Yeah, this is what Brooks Austin said about the receivers.
That dude's got something figured out at wide receiver. He takes guys that you look at and you're like, wait a minute. You took a 400-yard wide receiver from Wake Forest? That was Deuce Alexander last year. I thought Deuce Alexander was their second or third best wide receiver. So this guy's got some type of sauce when it comes to identifying the skill sets that best fit what we do on offense. So, yeah, we grab a kid from Hawaii. We grab old buddy from Florida that's constantly banged up, or at least was it, with Eugene Wilson. Tre Wilson. That dude's elite at the start and stop, right? And then the kid from Hawaii is like a 6'3" X-body type that can probably get vertical and stop.
Jackson Harris.
Yeah, to do a lot of this stuff that they do sometimes in the RPO game as well. They got some type of sauce when it comes to identifying wide receivers that might not look like Jeremiah Smith, but they work for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I would never, ever just be a namesake guy with Lane Kiffin wide receivers.
I love that. I'll tell you one thing. The old buddy, by the way, was Tre Wilson, not Jackson Harris. But I know he said old buddy. But the one thing that I was told after the scrimmage this past Saturday was Blake Baker came up and played a ton of man, a ton of press, because he didn't think the LSU receivers could win one-on-ones against his cornerbacks. So he brought pressure on Sam Levitt. It kind of worked. So you do not have Jamar Chase on this team. You do not have Malik Neighbors on this team. You do not have a guy that's a Biletnikoff #1 draft pick type guy on this team. So Can you overcome that with what Brooks was talking about there? That's kind of the question. I also think, if I can give you just a tangential comment, I also think that's why they're pressing so hard for Easton Royal. Because Easton Royal is that guy. They think he is anyway. They think, look at what Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss have done with this offense without a first-round draft pick at receiver. What happens if you do have Jamar Chase in this offense? Oh, Katie bar the door, right? That's why they're so hard after Easton Royal. So, maybe as much as any position group on the team, Saturday against Clemson, I'm going to be interested to watch these receivers. A week from Saturday, how the rotation goes, who stands out, who gets the bulk of the targets. I'm fairly certain, if I had to go bet, the majority of the targets are going to Trey'Dez Green. But I'm talking about the true receiver group. Who among them becomes Sam Levitt's favorite? And how he distributes the ball therein. We're a week away, man. A week and a day from finding out. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for being with us here. We are brought to you by Evamore, EVAMOR, Evamore.com, Evamore.com. Drink Evamore, natural artesian water, a healthier alternative, and a Louisiana product. Listen, it's hot out there. You want to stay hydrated. Do so with a healthier product. Evamore is straight from the source, and source matters, y'all. This is natural artesian water on the North Shore. They built the bottling plant around the natural artesian well, right out of the ground, piped right into the bottle. Doesn't touch air until you uncap it and take that first delicious sip. You got to try Evamore. You can find it at great local retailers. You want to find a retailer near you, go to evamore.com, hit the little search menu. You'll find the Find a Store tab. Type in your zip code. Boom, it'll tell you the store nearest you where you can find Evamore, or you can buy it online at evamore.com. EVAMOR, evamore.com, evamore.com. 20-ounce, 32-ounce, 64-ounce bottles. I like the 64-ounce bottles. I buy a 4-pack of those. You find yours at evamore.com. EVAMOR, evamore.com. All right, it's After Further Review, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Jimmy will be along for Otterlocks in about... Or do we have Jimmy? He's in Vegas. Are we going to have him? Why don't you text him and find out? Okay, I know Otterlocks are posted at louisianasports.net, but Jimmy's out there at the Circa Survivor pool deal, doing shows out in Vegas today and tomorrow. So we'll see if we can connect with Jimmy out in Vegas if he's got The Otterlocks are posted at louisianasports.net. We'll see if we have Jimmy on the show coming up here in a bit. All right, get your questions in. You can email us, tweet us, or text us 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Stick around. It's AFR.
After Further Review.
Ooh, the weekend is almost upon us. Your final weekend before LSU football. You got to check off them honeydews. Get by Clegg's Nursery. Remember, at Clegg's, if you want to plant flowers, plants, trees, shrubs, they got you. If you're going to the hunting camp to put out those plots, buckbusters, mow bucks, deer corn, they got it. If you need mulch or soil, bag or bulk, starting to think about those fall vegetable gardens, they got it. Johnny Naylor Seeds over at Clegg's Nursery. And remember, they're partnered with the True Value Hardware, their True Value Hardware store, so you can find things like floodlights and hardware and, garbage bags and all different types of things that you find at a hardware store you can also find at Clegg's Nursery. So bypass the box store and support a great local business that supported our community for 6 decades. It's Clegg's Nursery. Get by any of the 4 locations. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you in when you go see our friends today at Clegg's Nursery.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona.
As a result of all of the everything in college athletics, however you want to term it, the NFL is also reacting. Adam Schefter was on on Get Up today and sort of he clarified the NFL's eligibility rules because this is important for those players who are seeking the TRO to return to college. Here's what Schefter said.
These rules have been in place, but I think the NFL needed to remind teams and reinforce the idea that a player who leaves the NFL to go back to college, which we've never seen before, isn't allowed to come back to the NFL in the same season, nor is that player going to be allowed to re-enter the draft. You are eligible for one draft in your life. Dante Whitner can't go be the 8th overall pick one year, go back to the Ohio State, and come back and be another high pick again. It doesn't work like that, and the NFL reminded its teams of that yesterday in that memo after the Daquan Wright situation.
That is an important distinction. Now, I know we're laughing about Schefter talking about the Dante Whitner thing, because I will tell you that we've talked about this here. I had conversations with people very familiar with Jack Pyburn's situation, and it was their firmly held opinion that Jack Pyburn, if he was waived by the Bucs, returned to LSU again. This was before the SEC's all that's happened this week. This is when the initial TRO was signed, early last week, which feels like a year ago, by the way. It's crazy. Their firmly held opinion was that Jack would be able to go back into the draft because effectively his college eligibility never expired, was the thought of it, and that he would be able to go back into the draft after coming back to school. So that clarification from the NFL is on point. Now, I think it's also important to remember, I really don't know that any of these players that have dipped their toe in the NFL water and are attempting to come back and play a season of college have a path forward in the NFL. It's so important to remember, and this paints some context for why these players are pushing so hard to get another year in college. The NFL doesn't need any of them. The NFL doesn't need Daquan Wright. It doesn't need Xavier Harris. It doesn't need Junior Tua Halamaka. It doesn't need Jack Pyburn. It doesn't need any of those guys. Any of those 16 football players that were part of the TRO in Louisiana or any of the ones around the country, the NFL doesn't need any of them. So their path back already was going to be daunting because they had an uphill climb to make a roster to begin with. And now, you were in a training camp, but then you didn't want to be in our league and want to go back to school, and now you're going to come back. I think that is it was already daunting. It's going to be a near impossibility for any of these guys. Junior Tua Halamaka may be an exception because he never signed with an NFL team. So that could be maybe put an asterisk next to that one. But I'm talking about the guys who are in a camp and are trying to come back to college. But all that to say, that illustrates just why these players are so motivated to get back. Again, people keep highlighting Lane Kiffin and LSU, and I get why. I mean, it's Lane Kiffin. His reputation is earned over the last 20 years. But Lane Kiffin and LSU aren't suing anybody. It's players as part of 18 different lawsuits all over the country. We've seen it today in Texas and Kentucky, all over, that have now added to their TROs the SEC and Greg Sankey. And these players are pushing so hard because most of them don't have a path to pro ball. Their last opportunity to play significant athletics and make money is this year. This is it. So if you're Blake Cotton, for example, who's the cornerback who's from UC Davis, spent last year at Utah, went undrafted, was in camp with the Broncos, was waived. Well, that dude, his only football path professionally now is do you go to the UFL? Do you try? Whatever. Canada, maybe. Maybe you get another cup of coffee in the NFL. Or you go play on Saturday nights in Tiger Stadium and make some NIL money at LSU. What's a better option? It's pretty obvious. And you have nothing to lose. So that's why they're pushing so hard. I mean, I know Daquan Wright. I was told, and I believe my information is good, Daquan Wright was pushing to get a 7-figure deal. Now, LSU ain't paying him a 7-figure deal. I'll tell you that definitively. It's a fraction of that, what their offer was. But that guy just got waived by the Browns and now can make a nice 6-figure, let's call it a salary for lack of a better phrase, get a 6-figure deal to play another season of college football, maybe go push for a championship. I get it. I get why these guys are pursuing that avenue. Because they don't have a better path. This is their best and only path for football. And we exist in a time and a culture in college athletics in the NCAA where it's the thing that I have complained about for years now. The adults won't adult. It's not a lawless age in college football. Like, we have rules. The NCAA has a giant rule book. It's just that when the NCAA tries to enforce them and the schools and players don't like them, they sue. Because there's so much to gain and lose with every win and loss. And so now, because so many student athletes have gone the legal route, they've provided a path forward for these guys now to go the legal route. And what could have stopped it is years ago, if the adults, the university presidents, chancellors, athletic directors had said, it is not your right. You do not have an unalienable right to play college football. Great. You went to court to get injunctive relief to be eligible. Okay. We're not in need of your services. If that was the approach, then this isn't a thing. But all the adults have gone the path where they continue to support Trinidad Chambliss and Diego Pavia and all the players that have gone to court to get injunctive relief, to get waivers, to be eligible to continue their college career because they're good players and they help them win. Well, that's what paved the path and set the precedent for what's happening right now. So if you don't like this, look at the past and all the different ways that players who the NCAA deemed ineligible found their eligibility through a courtroom. And these guys are doing nothing different. The one difference for me is that I actually have sympathy for these guys because the NCAA screwed them. I have no sympathy for Diego Pavia. Like, he exercised his eligibility. I have no sympathy for Trinidad Chambliss. He embellished a story about tonsillitis and went to a judge and found a sympathetic judge in Mississippi and got another year. Good for him. He's going to make $6 million and Ole Miss is going to be pretty good at football. But it's bogus. These guys legitimately got screwed. The NCAA should have granted a blanket waiver. They didn't. They knew this would create a mess, and here we are. So, if you missed it, Attorney Tony Clayton was on the show about an hour and a half ago, and he did confirm to us that he has filed an amended TRO, which includes the SEC and Greg Sankey by name. So now those players, those 33 athletes, are suing the NCAA, the SEC, and Greg Sankey. The hearing that was set for Monday, August 31st, has now been moved to Thursday, September the 3rd. So you could, in theory, have a situation where those players are granted an injunction on Thursday in a Baton Rouge court, and then maybe you're dressed for LSU on Saturday against Clemson. I mean, what a world, what a sight that would be. Daquan Wright shows up for the walkthrough on Friday, and then is dressed out playing on Saturday. Like, that's a real possibility. We'll continue to follow it as it moves along. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com, FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. Hey, if you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. First South Farm Credit has been first in agriculture for more than 100 years. Look, farmers already know about First South Farm Credit. You want 1,000 acres for agriculture, First South Farm Credit. You know, one of the great things of the many that First South Farm Credit does, of course, they have their patronage refund, which basically they share in their profits with their member borrowers, right? And so that effectively lowers your cost of borrowing. If you're in at like a 5% rate when you get your patronage refund, which they've issued every year for 3 decades, it effectively like lowers your rate from like a 5 to a 4. So just another way that First South Farm Credit gives back. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com, FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. Thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit, FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. All right, y'all, it's after further review. We are so glad you're hanging out with us here. Thanks for making AFR part of your day today. If you missed anything, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. We had Noah Reisenfeld in hour number 1. He's the agent for Junior Tuihalamaka. Great conversation. Confirmed, yes, Junior is eligible. He is in Baton Rouge, and he will be playing for LSU against Clemson. As we mentioned, attorney Tony Clayton last hour. Ross Jackson about 45 minutes ago. We walked through his final 53-man roster projection. If you missed any of that, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org. Final break. Jimmy will join us from Vegas for Otterlocks next.
AFR.
Customer service is something that, unfortunately, in all too many businesses has gone the way of the dinosaur. We live in a microwave society where people want things fast, and a lot of the nuance and the detail, unfortunately, is fallen by the wayside. When you're thinking of selling your home and you need a realtor, you want to hire someone who has prioritized customer service at the forefront of everything they do. Well, that's Darren James. He guarantees you will be thrilled with the level of service. And if at any point you're not, you can fire him. He'll let you out of the contract free and clear, no questions asked. But his entire career as a realtor, no one has ever taken Darren up on that. Because when you have one, I'm telling you, have one phone conversation with Darren James, and you will understand why I have sung his praises for nearly 2 decades. Agent225.com, agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you want the best. You want Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Thursday night, the weekend is here, so get the weekend started right at Supper Club. Man, we're coming up on 6 o'clock. It's almost dinner time. Maybe you're driving home. Maybe you're pulling in the driveway. I got an idea. Tell her, honey, don't cook. Put the pots and pans away. We're going to Supper Club. But scone, we don't have a reservation. Don't worry about it. Forget about it. Pop on in. Hang out at the bar. 14 bar stools, 7 bar tables. You can eat your meal there or wait for a table to come open. I'm telling you, no matter if you're sitting at the bar enjoying a great craft cocktail, their incredible whiskey selection, any of the offerings from their expansive wine library, or a menu that is chef's kiss. You are going to have the best dining experience in Baton Rouge or darn near anywhere. It's at Supper Club. Book your reservation today at supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. Football's here, y'all. Get by Supper Club.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR. One thing left to do, let's find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Otter.
Yes. Can you hear me?
How are you?
Good. Just in the Circus Sportsbook, getting ready to watch some games.
Hey, is that where I got the big Circus swim?
Well, I'm inside. It's a little toasty outside.
No, I know, but that's where they got the big. That's where we watched the night before LSU and USC out in Vegas. Hung out, had a cabana. That's a hell of a place, man. I mean, it's drive-off strip. It's like the old strip, right? Is where Circa is.
It's just downtown.
Downtown.
Fremont Street.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, that Circus swim is a sight to behold, man. I mean,
it's cool. Derek, I had Derek, the owner, on today on our show, and he told me, he says, well, how'd you come up with this idea? He says, I love to sweat my action and sports betting, and my wife likes the pool. Let's put them together. Okay.
It's really smart. I mean, there is not a bad view of any of the TVs of anything in that thing. Yeah, it's really cool. Really cool.
I'll tell you a real quick story, too.
Yeah.
A few years ago, they're running the hold the rope, the skip that they showed, before the ceremony, things like that. They had it on the big screen early in the morning. We saw some games. So I sent them a screenshot. Said, Skip, you're big in Vegas too, brother.
It's so good.
Yeah. Yes,
all right,
indeed.
man. We'll be keeping an eye on tonight.
All right, we're going to go with KC. Their 9-game hit streak was snapped last night. That was a loser for us last night, but I love Cameron. He's been really pitching well against Toronto. Basically even money is when I submitted a hunt earlier, but the Royals with Caglianone, Pasquantino, Bobby Witt Jr., all of those guys have missed considerable time due to injury, but their level of play is much higher than their overall record. Kansas City even. A couple of stud pitchers tonight. Mizorowski in the Milwaukee Brewers going to play -1.5, -115 at Citi Field in New York. Sean Manaea for the Mets. Major pitching advantage there. Atlanta, the Braves looking for a sweep. They've got their ace on the mound. Second odds choice right now for NL Cy Young. But the Atlanta Braves, we look for them to finish off the sweep of the Los Angeles Dodgers. They have a 1.5 lead right now for overall record. Keep in mind the top 2 records get a bye in the first round. And then the Yankees, your Yankees rubber game in the Bronx. I think we got a little weather delay going on right now, but Yankees minus 150 against the Astros.
All right, Royals, Brewers on the run line, Braves, and Yankees. Those are your auto locks tonight. All right, man. How'd it go today out in Vegas?
It went well. I mean, maybe if you heard some screaming a couple of time zones away, that was Chris Macero, who lost a 9-3 lead in the ninth yesterday against the Reds in San Francisco. So, yeah.
God bless.
Yes, indeed. So they're having a good time, man. Big sign-up contest weekend, and so there's lots of activities for us over. My buddy Ricky Danois over here from New Orleans, who works over at Circa. So small world, man.
Awesome.
And we're ready to have a good time.
All right, man. Well, have a great weekend. Looking forward to hearing the show tomorrow. Thanks, Otto.
All right, Matt. Thank you.
All right, be well. It's after further review. Jimmy is a Relief Windows customer, as am I, as are so many of you. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows door siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters, too, and shades. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. You get your energy bills, and you keep seeing those things go up, especially this time of year where it's a bajillion degrees. You want to lower your energy bills, make your home more energy efficient. A way to do that, energy-efficient replacement windows. Invest in your home. You got your tax refund, wondering what to do with it? Invest in your home. Energy-efficient replacement windows from Relief Windows are a great way to do it, and you're always going to get exceptional customer service. Remember, at Relief Windows, they will never take a dollar from you. Listen, they will never take a dollar from you until they're done and you're thrilled. They will not take a down payment. They take all the financial risk up front. When they're done and you're thrilled, that's when you can pay them. It's Relief Windows. Windows, door siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters, too. Relief Windows, ReliefWindows.com. All right, just about going to do it for us here on a Thursday edition of AFR. Thanks so much for hanging out here. If you missed anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. Football Friday tomorrow. We'll get you set for Week 0. Saints, Cowboys as well. Terrio will be back for the Riot Radio Hours. We'll see you then. Muse, Paulie, thanks. Have a great night. See you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Popped on into South Point Volkswagen yesterday. I had to go pick up my license plate for my new Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport. The license plate and registration came in. So popped on in and got to visit with Mr. Kerry Manuel for a few minutes over there. Kerry is the certified pre-owned manager over at South Point Volkswagen. He said, Matt, like we have never had this much inventory on the lot, certified pre-owned inventory. Now, look, I tell you all the time, I drive a Volkswagen. Erica drives a Volkswagen. My mom, my dad, they drive Volkswagens. My cousin Steven, he drives a Volkswagen. His parents drive a Volkswagen. His in-laws drive a Volkswagen. I've converted the entire family because I'm telling you, once you drive one, you're going to get it. But the certified pre-owns, not just Volkswagens, all different makes and models. So if you're looking for a deal on a great certified pre-owned vehicle, make sure you shop the used lot at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction?